CTV3 News. Cops in Orange Walk investigate daring cement wall break-in at Pledge Electronics amid ongoing crime surge. Plus, we tell you about two murders that occurred over the weekend, one in Lord's Bank and the second in Ladyville. Belize police deny allegations of foiling assassination plot and urge responsible reporting. MS-13 member is found in Belize. He is deported to Guatemala amid rising gang concerns. And Belize calls for restraint and regional unity amid Venezuela crisis. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Monday, January 5th, 2026.
Still like one dream, because I say at the age of 63, I can say I own my own house. I can honestly say, and it get me weak. Before this, I was living on the mobile home, right? And then after a while, it started to go in and start to lock up and things.
1, 2, 3.
Actually, I may give up. I used to cry and like time I said, Lord, please. And there comes Miss Mar. They always say, if you're not serious about something, don't pray for it. Don't pray about it. And I ask my God, please lead the Good Samaritan to me.
The housing program of the government of Belize, which is administered through the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, is definitely, without question, one of the best programs our government has to offer, providing an opportunity for Belizeans who are in need to own their own home. And so I'm very, very happy for Ms. Beverly Harris and her family. She has been asking for support and help with her home for a long time. And I'm very, very glad that with the kind support of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, that we were able to get this done for her.
I'm thankful. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give 20. I love it. I love it.
Good evening with your news also simulcast on Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Police in Orange Walk Town are investigating a daring early morning break-in at Pledge Electronics where thieves gained entry by digging through a cement wall and made off with several electronic devices. According to police, the incident occurred at the company's Orange Walk branch. Initial reports suggested that a large sum of money had been stolen. However, Pledge Electronics has since clarified that no large amount of cash was taken. Instead, approximately 16 cellular phones were stolen during the burglary. Authorities say the store's alarm system was triggered during the incident, prompting a rapid police response. Officers arrived at the scene within 4 minutes, but investigators believe the culprit had already fled within the first 2 minutes after the alarm was activated. Upon arrival, police discovered a small hole broken through a cement wall, which is believed to have been the point of entry used by the thief or thieves. In response to the break-in, Pledge Electronics is now offering a reward for information that leads to the recovery of the stolen phones. Members of the public with any information are encouraged to contact the police.
Police are investigating the burglary of Pledge Electronics store, which occurred sometime around 2:00 a.m. on Saturday, 3rd January 2025. What the investigators have uncovered is that at the aforementioned date and time, 3 persons entered that establishment, which is located on Quick Victoria Avenue in Orange Walktown, and stole several electronic items as well as some cash before making good their escape. The investigators have some footages in their possession, and this had led them to the detention of an individual. However, the investigation is still ongoing.
The incident comes amid growing concern over a series of large-scale robberies reported in Orange Walk Town over the past few months. Among them is the high-profile robbery of BMDC, where suspects escaped with a large amount of cash. No arrests were made in that incident. Police continue to urge business owners to strengthen security measures as investigations into these crimes remain ongoing. The Belize Police Department has firmly denied reports circulating in the media suggesting that law enforcement agents intercepted a conspiracy to assassinate an elected official from Orange Walk. In a statement issued today, the department emphasized that no such operation took place. The police further cautioned media outlets and the public against the spread of false information. They reminded everyone that it is a criminal offense to maliciously produce or disseminate unverified news, whether written, spoken, or shared through any other means, with the intent to incite public fear or cause harm to individuals or the community. In light of recent reports, the Belize Police Department called for responsible journalism and urged the public to rely only on official communications for accurate information. Speculation had surfaced suggesting that police had detained several members of the Southside Gang in connection with an alleged plot to eliminate a member of the Briceño administration. Reports indicated that the suspects were apprehended after police intelligence uncovered the plan beforehand, enabling officers to intervene before any harm was carried out. Suggestions were also made that the supposed assassination attempt was linked to a dispute involving larger sums of stolen money, estimated to be in the millions of dollars. Police are investigating a brutal murder after a 57-year-old man was fatally shot inside his home in the early hours of Sunday morning in Lord's Bank Village. The victim was identified as Philip Nicholas, a Belizean handyman. He was killed while sleeping beside his wife and 4-year-old grandson at the Belize Defense Force BDF housing site. According to police, at about 1:41 a.m., officers from the Ladyville Criminal Investigation Branch responded to reports of a shooting. Upon arrival at the residence, police found Nicholas lying face up on a sponge directly in front of an open side door, motionless and bleeding from what appeared to be a gunshot wound to the head. Nicholas's wife told investigators that sometime around 1:20 a.m., she, her husband, and their grandson were asleep on the floor inside their 2-bedroom zinc Mennonite house when masked men walked up the wooden steps of the home and fired several shots inside. One of the bullets struck Philip Nicholas in the head. The gunmen then fled the scene. Scenes of crime personnel processed the area and recovered the several expended shell casings. Police say the area is being canvassed for information as investigations continue. Authorities have confirmed that 2 individuals are currently detained for questioning in connection with the murder, though no person of interest has been formally identified.
Officers attached to the Ladyville Police Formation are investigating the murder of 57-year-old Philip Nicholas, a Belizean handyman of the BDF housing site in Ladyville. This murder occurred sometime just before 2:00 a.m. on 4th January 2025. What we know so far is that Nicholas and 2 other family members were at home sleeping at the aforementioned time when a male person is reported to have entered that residence and fired several shots, which resulted in the death of Mr. Nicholas. 2 persons have been detained for questioning as the investigators seek to uncover the motive and to apprehend the culprit in this incident.
Police are investigating a fatal stabbing that claimed the life of a 26-year-old Belizean man on Sunday afternoon in Ladyville Village. The deceased has been identified as Patrick O., a driver of Lords Bank Village. O was found stabbed to death in the parking lot of New Moon Supermarket, located near mile 10 of the Philip Golson Highway. According to police, at approximately 2 p.m., officers attached to the Ladyville Police Formation responded to information regarding a motionless body in the area. Upon arrival, officers found O lying face up on a wooden pallet with what appeared to be a stab wound to the chest. Police also recovered a black-handled knife with broken silver metal blade from beneath the palm of O's left hand. The scene was processed and O's body was transported to the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m.
On Sunday, 4th January 2026 at approximately 2 o'clock p.m., police in Ladyville were alerted of the presence of an unresponsive male person in the freight truck parking lot behind the New Moon Supermarket, which is located in Ladyville Village, Belize District. The investigators, upon their arrival at the scene, observed the unresponsive body of a male person who was later learned to be Patrick O., a 26-year-old Belizean driver of Lords Bank Village. The body of Mr. O. exhibited apparent stab wounds. Police are in the process of reviewing a number of video footages, and it is hoped that these footages will assist in the ongoing investigation.
Police say investigations are ongoing as they work to determine the motive behind the killing and identify those responsible. Anyone with information that may assist in the investigation is encouraged to contact the nearest police station. In a significant move to combat transnational crime, Belizean authorities on Friday deported Marvin Edgardo Sandoval, also known as Cirillo, a 45-year-old Salvadoran national and alleged member of the notorious Mara Salvatrucha MS-13 gang. The transfer marks another step in Belize's efforts to curb gang-related violence and criminal activity within its borders. Sandoval, who was issued an order to leave Belize and classified as a prohibited immigrant, was handed over to Guatemalan officials in a joint operation led by Belize's G13 law enforcement officers in San Ignacio. The operation involved meticulous coordination with immigration officials to ensure a smooth removal process. The handover took place at the border in Melchor de Mencos, Petén, where Belizean authorities transferred Sandoval to Guatemalan customs authorities. He was subsequently processed by Guatemalan migration officials for deportation to El Salvador, his country of origin. This deportation is part of a broader initiative to dismantle transnational gangs operating across Central America. Sandoval is notably the second Salvadoran MS-13 member removed from Belize in recent months. In November, authorities assisted in the arrest of Julio Cesar at Belize's western border, further highlighting Belize's commitment to addressing gang influence. MS-13, which originated in Los Angeles, is classified by the United States government as a transnational criminal organization responsible for a range of violent crimes across the Americas. Belize has increasingly taken measures to target gang members, aiming to enhance citizen safety and stability. Authorities reaffirmed their dedication to ongoing operations targeting gangs and their affiliates, emphasizing that such efforts are crucial in maintaining peace and security in Belize and the wider region. Coming up next, U.S. launches large-scale military operation in Venezuela that leads to the capture of President Maduro and his wife. Stay tuned.
A pleasant good afternoon. His Lordship the Mayor, what do I call you today?
Still like one dream because I say at the age of 63, I can say I own my own house. I can honestly say, and it get me weak. Before this, I was living on the mobile home, right? And then after a while, it started to go in and start to lock up and things.
1, 2, 3.
Actually, I give up. I used to cry and like time I said, Lord, please. And there comes Miss Mara. They always say, if you're not serious about something, don't pray for it. Don't pray about it. And I ask my God, please lead the Good Samaritan to me.
The housing program of the government of Belize, which is administered through the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, is definitely, without question, one of the best programs our government has to offer, providing an opportunity for Belizeans who are in need to own their own home. And so I'm very, very happy for Ms. Beverly Harris and her family. She has been asking for support and help with her home for a long time. And I'm very, very glad that with the kind support of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, that we were able to get this done for her.
I'm thankful. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give 20. I love it. I love it.
In a startling escalation of tensions, the United States initiated a significant military strike against Venezuela early Saturday morning, asserting that high-profile targets, including President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores, were detained and evacuated from the country in an overnight operation. U.S. officials and President Donald Trump confirmed the dramatic development, marking a potential turning point in U.S.-Venezuela relations. President Donald Trump broke the news via social media platform Truth Social shortly after 4:30 a.m., announcing that Maduro and Flores had been captured and flown out of the country in what he described as a coordinated effort involving U.S. law enforcement agencies. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi echoed the president's claims, revealing that Maduro faces an indictment in New York on serious charges related to drug trafficking and weapons. She emphasized that Maduro would soon face justice in American courts, asserting the United States' resolve to pursue legal action against the Venezuelan leader. Reports of explosions and low-flying aircrafts over Caracas underscored the intensity of the operation. The Venezuelan government swiftly condemned the attack, describing it as extremely serious military aggression. The regime accused the United States of targeting both civilian and military infrastructure across the capital and surrounding regions, including the states of Miranda, Aragua, and La Guira. Venezuelan officials declared a state of emergency and called on citizens to mobilize in response to what they termed as imperialist attack. The government's communication emphasized that the operation represented a blatant violation of international law and the United Nations Charter, threatening regional stability. Following the operation, it remained unclear who was in control of the Venezuelan government. According to the nation's constitution, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez would assume presidential duties if Maduro were incapacitated. Rodriguez publicly stated that authorities had no knowledge of Maduro or Flores' whereabouts and demanded proof of life, raising questions about the fate of the Venezuelan leader. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio indicated that the United States did not anticipate further military actions against Venezuela, suggesting that Saturday's operation might be a decisive yet isolated event. The Venezuelan government responded with strong words condemning what is called extremely serious military aggression. In a statement issued on January 3rd, Caracas accused U.S. forces of targeting multiple locations in the capital and neighboring states, including Miranda, Aragua, and La Guardia. The regime argued that these actions constitute a flagrant breach of international norms and pose a threat to regional peace and stability. Venezuela accused the United States of seeking to seize its strategic resources such as oil and minerals and of attempting to destabilize its sovereignty through what it described as a regime change strategy. As for President Trump, he has also said the U.S. oil embargo on Venezuela remains in effect and warned political and military figures linked to Maduro that further action could follow. He declared that the United States will assume control of Venezuela indefinitely to oversee a transition of power, though he provided no timeline. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, Trump said, adding that he plans to authorize U.S. oil companies to take over Venezuela's energy infrastructure. International observers and analysts are closely monitoring the situation, which could significantly impact regional geopolitics. The United States' move marks a notable shift towards direct military involvement, raising concerns about the potential for wider conflict in Latin America. Of note is that the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, convened an emergency meeting early on January 3rd amid the reports of military action in Venezuela. In a statement issued following the meeting, CARICOM said it is actively monitoring the rapidly evolving situation, describing it as one of grave concern to the region. The regional body warned that the developments could have implications for neighboring countries. And one of those neighboring countries is Belize, and that is why today the Belizean government issued an official statement regarding the recent developments in Venezuela following military actions on January 3rd, 2026, which led to the ousting of the country's president. Belize highlighted that it has been attentively observing the accumulation of military forces in the Southern Caribbean over the past 4 months and has expressed serious concern over the situation. The government confirmed its alignment with a statement issued by the Bureau of CARICOM Heads of Government and indicated that it will continue to engage with CARICOM and other regional partners to assess the broader ramifications of the crisis. Belize emphasized its unwavering commitment to international law, the principles outlined in the UN Charter, and the maintenance of regional peace and stability. Authorities called on all involved parties to exercise restraint, adhere to international legal standards, and seek constructive dialogue as the means to resolve the crisis peacefully. The government reiterated its support for the swift restoration of constitutional order in Venezuela, emphasizing that such a resolution should reflect the will of the Venezuelan people. Furthermore, Belize reaffirmed its dedication to keeping the region a zone of peace, underscoring the importance of regional stability. Officials also reassured the public that all Belizean students studying in Venezuela are currently safe and accounted for. The United Nations Security Council convened this morning to address the recent U.S. military effort aimed at apprehending Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The operation has escalated tensions and drawn widespread international attention. Maduro is currently facing legal proceedings in New York on multiple charges, including allegations of drug trafficking. Venezuela, along with a coalition of international supporters, has condemned the United States' actions, asserting that the military operation breaches established international laws and the principles of enshrined in the UN Charter.
Colombia condemns categorically the events that occurred in the early morning of the 3rd of January in Venezuela, where we saw multiple explosions and air activity over Caracas and other areas of the country as part of a military attack carried out by the United States, which included bombings of civilian and military infrastructure, creating panic amongst the population. All of this represents clear violations of the sovereignty, political independence, and the territorial integrity of Venezuela.
The assault against the leader of Venezuela, compounded by the deaths of dozens of Venezuelan and Cuban citizens, in the eyes of many, has become a harbinger of a turn back to the era of lawlessness and U.S. domination by force, chaos, and lawlessness, which continues to afflict dozens of states in various regions of the world.
On January the 3rd, the United States blatantly launched large-scale military strikes against Venezuela, forcibly seized Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and took them out of the country. It claimed that it will run Venezuela and even didn't rule out launching a second round of military operations on an even larger scale. China is deeply shocked by and strongly condemns the unilateral, illegal, and bullying acts of the U.S.
Panama also believes it's necessary to highlight that the situation Venezuela is facing is unfolding in an environment marked by the disregard for the will of its people, as well as by a sustained erosion of democratic institutions. In this regard, Panama reiterates that it does not and will not recognize the authoritarian and illegitimate regime that has held Venezuelan men and women hostage, plunged them into one of the gravest political, social, humanitarian, and security crises in our region.
And while Venezuela's international supporters condemned the United States' actions, U.S. Ambassador to the United States Mike Waltz characterized the recent military operation as a lawful enforcement measure rather than an act of warfare. Waltz emphasized that the action was aimed at enforcing long-standing criminal charges against the leader he described as illegitimate. He reiterated that the operation was not an act of war, but rather a targeted effort to uphold legal proceedings against a figure accused of serious misconduct.
Colleagues, Nicolas Maduro is responsible for attacks on the people of the United States, for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere, and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades. The United States arrested a narco-trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years. A similar action was taken in 1989 against Manuel Noriega. He was arrested, indicted, convicted in a court of law, served in prison in the United States and in Panama, and the Panamanian people, the American people, are safer for it, and undeniably, the region was more stable.
During today's session, Venezuela's Representative Ambassador Samuel Moncada condemned the recent U.S. operations, labeling them as an illegitimate armed attack that lacks any legal foundation. He accused the United States of engaging in actions that included the abduction of Venezuela's sitting president, Nicolas Maduro Moros, along with First Lady Celia Flores.
Mr. President, on January 3rd, 2026 is a date of profound historical significance, not only for Venezuela, but for the international system as a whole. On that day, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela was the target of an illegitimate armed attack lacking any legal justification by the government of the United States of America, which included bombing of our territory, the loss of civilian and military lives, the destruction of civilian infrastructure, essential infrastructure, and the kidnapping of the constitutional president of the Republic, Nicolas Maduro Moros, and the First Lady Celia Flores. Venezuela comes before this Council today with a deep conviction that international peace can only be sustained if international law is respected without exception, without double standards, and without selective interpretations. The events of January 3rd constitute a flagrant violation of the UN Charter perpetrated by the US government, in particular the violation of the principle of sovereign equality of states, of the absolute prohibition of the use or threat of use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, as enshrined in Article 2, Paragraph 4, and a violation of the duty to settle disputes by peaceful means. Similarly, these acts also seriously violate the Geneva Conventions and its protocols, as indiscriminate attacks were carried out against the civilian population and assets.
Ambassador Moncada emphasized that no nation has the authority to act as the sole judge, jury, and executioner in international affairs. He further asserted that Venezuela is being targeted due to its abundant natural resources, framing the incident as an unjust attack against the nation. Early morning festivities marking the start of the new year in Trial Farm Village took a violent turn, prompting a police probe into the incident. According to a report filed with the Trial Farm Police Substation, a 27-year-old man sustained injuries during a scuffle that took place around 1 a.m. at his home on Bottom Lagoon Street. The man, who was hosting a family gathering, explained that tensions escalated into a confrontation involving relatives. He recounted that while trying to de-escalate the dispute, another individual arrived at the scene and struck him in the nose with a stone, resulting in pain and bleeding. The complainant noted that the area was well lit by his house and a nearby fire, allowing him to clearly identify his attacker. Police officers responded promptly to the scene, and the injured man later received medical treatment. Authorities have identified a suspect of interest and are currently conducting further investigations. The case remains active as officials seek additional information. With 5 days into the new year 2026, many are reflecting on the progress made across communities. In Orange Walk Town, Mayor Ladrick Shepherd is highlighting what he describes as some of the town council's most significant accomplishments over the past year. According to Mayor Shepherd, one of the council's major achievements for 2025 was the paving of close to 50 streets across Orange Walk, including key areas in Orange Walk Central and Orange Walk East. The extensive road works, he said, have improved accessibility, traffic flow, and overall quality of life for residents. In addition to road upgrades, the council also focused heavily on improving the town's drainage infrastructure. Mayor Shepherd reported that more than 600 culverts were replaced or newly installed throughout Orange Walk, a move aimed at reducing flooding and improving water management during the rainy season.
Working closely with the ministers as well, I know you have seen a lot of progress in Central, working closely with John Briceño in Orange Walk Central, also with Honorable Kevin Bernard in Orange Walk East. These are the things that I think the residents were clamoring for infrastructure work, street works, and I think we have done a lot. Also with the street works, we also did a lot with culverts, over 675 culverts were replaced and changed in the entire town. So those are some of the positive things that I can close my eyes and be happy about, that now we're heading into 2026. I must say that heading into 2026, we will see another amount of great things happening. I know I must say that I give thanks to the Honorable John Briceño that he sees the vision and he wants to see this town uplift itself and look good for the residents. You can see the amount of work that we did in the park, especially when it comes to the Christmas time, the 2 playgrounds. We did the one in Central. He did the one in Orange in Union Town area, and that was a great success. I know. So we shared the love amongst the kids for Christmas. I must say that we can tip our hats off for the street works, and it's a lot. I think it's over nearly about 40 streets that we have done in the entire town. That include not only in Central, but also in East. And again, those are what we were focusing on. And then again, with the culverts changing, because not only when it comes to street work, we have to remember the drainage system. Again, our biggest achievement was, like I said, the infrastructure work. I give thanks to the Prime Minister again for his great effort and I know for making sure that we get most of these things done. Because we both work together in the same constituency. Yes, I'm in part of the town, but this is also Orange Walk Central for him. And he sees it fit that he has to get these things done for his residents. So when we go campaign, these are what we are hearing from most of the residents, and we're getting it done together.
The mayor noted that these projects were carried out through collaboration with area representatives, emphasizing the importance of joint efforts in delivering meaningful development to residents.
Prepared that in 2026 we can see great success. We mentioned earlier when I go to the morning show with Kami that we are prepared to get 2 garbage compactor trucks that will uplift the garbage problem that we're facing for the past years and years and years since I became mayor in the council since 2021. But again, I keep my head up. I keep happy that the residents are happy with how things are being done by this Orange Walk Town Council, and we continue working closely with them for 2026. We want to make sure that 2026 be better for us, and I'm quite sure that we at the council will do our part to make sure that this town stays clean. That's the thing that I've been beating on over and over. They want to say we want to have a safe and clean town. And especially when it comes to crime, I've seen a lot of things out there, guys. One of my things for 2026, I would advise the residents overall to please get a camera in your yard so that you can be safe when you're going out, and you can also look at your phone, because you can connect to your phone so you can see exactly what's happening, because the safety is one of the key things that we want to push for 2026. I can tell you this, that the Prime Minister is also working on getting some serious cameras in the Orange Walk Town, especially some of the outlets. So that's one of the next big things that are happening. So for 2026, let's try to be safe, continue working with one another. Let's continue to be our brother's keeper. Let's continue making sure that our kids benefit from everything that we do in this entire 2026 for this new year.
Looking around to 2026, Mayor Shepherd says he's looking forward to continued work aimed at further improving infrastructure and services in Orange Walk as the Town Council builds on the foundation laid over the past year. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Still like one dream, because I say at the age of 63, I can say I own my own house. I can honestly say, and it get me weak. Before this, I was living on the mobile home, right? And then after a while, it started to go in and start to lock up and things.
1, 2, 3.
Actually, I give up. I used to cry and like time I said, Lord, please. And there comes Miss Mara. They always say, if you're not serious about something, don't pray for it. Don't pray about it. And I ask my God, please lead the Good Samaritan to me.
The housing program of the government of Belize, which is administered through the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, is definitely, without question, one of the best programs our government has to offer, providing an opportunity for Belizeans who are in need to own their own home. And so I'm very, very happy for Ms. Beverly Harris and her family. She has been asking for support and help with her home for a long time. And I'm very, very glad that with the kind support of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing, that we were able to get this done for her.
I'm thankful. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give 20. I love it. I love it.
Outbound mail from Belize to the United States is set to recommence after a suspension lasting 4 months, a direct result of recent changes in U.S. customs policies. The interruption began in August 2025 following the signing of Executive Order 14324 by President Donald Trump on July 30th. This order abolished the long-standing duty-free de minimis threshold, ending the $800 exemption on low-value goods. Consequently, all packages entering the U.S. now face custom duties and processing fees regardless of their worth. The Belize Postal Service explained that the new regulations prompted a significant overhaul of their operational procedures. Postmaster General Dr. Marsha Price highlighted the shift, noting that traditionally, customs duties are collected by the destination country. This change is unprecedented for postal services, she remarked. We had to wait for the Universal Postal Union to develop a solution that could be implemented globally. Starting January 7, shipments will resume under the Universal Postal Union's Delivery Duty Paid DTP system. This approach allows duties and taxes to be calculated and paid before the packages leave Belize, streamlining the process for both postal services and customers. Key points for customers to note include all packages sent to the U.S. will now require customs duties regardless of their value. Duties and fees must be settled before items depart Belize. Customers can check shipping costs online prior to visiting the post office, and a postal staff will be available to assist customers even if they lack internet access. A phased rollout begins on January 5th with the full public launch scheduled for January 7th. The United Democratic Party, UDP, today officially announced its shadow cabinet. The shadow cabinet is led by opposition leader Honorable Tracy Tager-Panton, who will oversee the Office of the Prime Minister, OPM, Finance, Economic Transformation, Investments, Commerce, Consumer Affairs, Enterprise, and E-Governance. Supporting her are Mr. Cecil Jenkins, Minister of State for Commerce, Consumer Affairs, and Enterprise, and Mr. Carlos Zetina, Minister of State for E-Governance. Honorable Ugo Pat takes charge of natural resources, petroleum and mining, while Honorable Miguel Guerra leads agriculture, food security, and new growth industries, with Alden Tasher serving as Minister of State. Infrastructure development and housing will be managed by Honorable Lee Mark Chang, while Honorable Godwin Haylock assumes responsibility for tourism, civil aviation, diaspora relations, culture, youth, and sports, supported by Mr. Dale Pelayo as Minister of State for Culture, Youth, and Sports. Senator Patrick Faber heads of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Education, Science, and Technology, with Mr. Martin Rivera as Minister of State for Science and Technology. Legal and constitutional oversight will be provided by Senator Sheena Pitts. Environmental and marine conservation portfolios are represented by Senator Gabriel Zetina, responsible for the blue economy and marine conservation. Governance matters, including immigration, labor, and governance, fall under Khalid Belail. Health and wellness portfolios will be led by Dr. Omar Vasquez, assisted by Dr. Abraham Flowers as Minister of State. Sustainable Development and Climate Change is assigned to Dr. Omar Figueroa, with Marlo Pereira handling solid waste management and Alpheus Gillett overseeing disaster risk management. Public utilities and energy security will be supervised by Mark O'Brien, with Alobi Young as Minister of State for Energy Security. Home Affairs and Citizen Security will be managed by Edward Broster, while Rural Transformation, Community Development, and Local Government is assigned to Frank Polonio, assisted by Freddie Cantillano for Community Development and Angeli Perez for Local Government. Alfonso Sanchez will manage Indigenous and Religious Affairs, while Transport and Logistics fall under German Tillit, supported by Albert Fernandez as Minister of State. National Defense and Border Security will be held by Antonio Herrera. Human Development, Family Support, and Gender Affairs is assigned to Ert Lopez, while Andy Yam will oversee Public Service and Union Affairs. Administrative roles are rounded out by Kerry Belisle as Cabinet Secretary and Daniel Neal as Chief Press Officer. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, January 6th, here on CTV3 News and Face FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at CTV3BelizeNews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at Facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.